Hey y'all, it's Natalie, Shapelessflame. Welcome to my channel. I just wanted to give you a little quick rundown of the supplies I'll be using for today's drawing Cryptid deep dive. This is the Pith Lumia brand sketchbook that I've been working on my Cryptid diary in. This is the nice little intro page. And instead of using regular colored pencils today, I'm just going to be working monochromatically because it's just what I feel like doing. So I have a gray colored pencil and a black colored pencil. Plus we have some ink, Micron pens. This is a cheap knockoff version of a Micron pen. It's a 01, which means it's a little bit of a finer tip. I have another 01 I believe in here, plus an 05 and an 08. I don't normally like to work with pens as thick as like 08s and stuff like that. I like the 005s, but I don't have any right now that aren't completely burnt out. They just scratch my paper. There's barely any ink left in them, so we gotta work with what we got. So without further ado, let's get started on the Loveland Frogman, shall we? The year was 1955. Surprised? A traveling businessman from Loveland, Ohio, named Robert Honeycutt, was cruising a back road home after spending the day peddling his wares around the Cincinnati metro area. Tie loosened, suit coat crumpled on the passenger seat, his sleeves rolled up, and the windows rolled down. He reveled in the exhilarating crispness of a late spring Ohio morning. He could still make out the faint chorus of spring peepers along the little Miami River over the sound of his car's humming engine. What a beautiful morning. I should probably pull over, maybe have a smoke, and just soak all this in before heading home. And that's exactly what he did. He inhaled one last drag and stomped a cigarette into the gravel, feeling a marked shift in the air. Something was moving down by the water. A deer? No, I think it's a little bit bigger than that. He looked hesitantly in the direction of the sound. His eyes had mostly adjusted to the pre-dawn darkness at this point, but he thinks he could make out 3 figures congregating on the water's edge. They were about 4 feet tall by his estimation and appeared to have gray, leathery skin with webbed feet and hands. They were bald, skin wrinkled and tough, their eyes resting on the sides of their heads, very amphibian-like. Instinctively, Robert knew he shouldn't make himself known. I have interrupted something ancient. Backing away to the car, he noticed one of the creatures was holding up a wand, emanating a brilliant light. As above, so below, he thought, speeding off, never looking back once. Nearly 20 years pass until there is another sighting of the elusive frogman. March 3rd, 1972. It's another desolate early morning in Loveland, Ohio. The gray doldrums of winter hang on with tightened claws, and the promise of spring feels like it's probably never going to be fulfilled, quite frankly. An anonymous police officer working the night shift is inching along an icy riverside road, probably daydreaming about planting his garden, when he spots what he thinks is a stray dog by the side of the road. Oh man, poor little buddy must be so cold. As he's trying to find a safe spot to pull over, the animal darts in front of the car, forcing him to slam on his brakes. Of course, the cruiser then fishtails, and the man struggles to stop on the slick pavement. But as he regains control of the vehicle, the headlights illuminate the creature with stark clarity. Okay, that's definitely not a dog. It stands on 2 legs, looks directly at him, and then hurtles itself over the guardrail, just effortlessly disappearing down the hillside toward the water. Hours later, when he returns to the precinct, his colleagues are in disbelief as he describes a creature about 4 feet tall, with leathery skin, and the face of a frog. Assured this dude was just super tired and likely full of shit, another officer insists on investigating the site where it happened, but this time in the daylight, just to put the story to bed. Fully expecting to see no shred of evidence whatsoever, this other officer instead sees distinct claw marks, he says, on the guardrail where the sighting occurred. Well, I'll be. 2 weeks later, another officer, this time given a name, Mark Matthews. He claims to have a similar experience, but with a decidedly less compassionate approach than our previous fella. I would chalk it up to a combined fear of what he didn't understand and little impulse control. Matthews shoots at the creature, striking it in the leg. The creature, undeterred, yet again hops the guardrail and makes its way to the waters below, so I guess he was alright. Now we fast forward to 2001, and this same Mark Matthews, now retired, claims that the entire incident was just completely blown out of proportion. He says he likely only saw some escaped pet iguana. Nothing to see here, folks. Just a cop shooting wayward iguanas in the middle of the dark winter's night. Standard procedure, right? Alright, stick with me here, because I think of all the cryptid, give me a really good, grounded explanation, that this one has probably one of the best. Totes Incorporated is best known today as an umbrella and glove manufacturer. They made the good old isotoners that everybody's mom wore in the 1990s. I mean, if you're an old like me, you know that. Anyhow, the company made their start in Ohio, eventually opening a factory in Loveland on the banks of the Little Miami River. Their move to Loveland happened in 1942 under the name Solo Marks Rubber Company. And a fun fact, the Loveland facility was where the very first rubber rain boots were made. Pretty cool. It's also, though, where they manufactured and tested a revolutionary rubber suit called the scuba suit. Now, how is this relevant? You're likely asking yourself. Well, they designed these suits in the 1950s, and aforementioned testing happened in, you guessed it, the choppy, cold waters of the Little Miami River. Judging by the appearance of these suits, I am confident that this is the likely origin of the original Frogman sighting from 1955. And I think Roberts is probably the only one with any shred of credibility, in my opinion. And I also think that the wand that he saw one of them holding may have just been a flashlight, because these dudes are out in the morning just trying to see what the hell they're doing, testing out this suit. Makes so much sense. Now, I cannot fully take credit for figuring this out, cracking the case. I have watched a YouTube video by a person called Into the Dark Side that I will link in my description that posited this, and then I did some further research, and it makes so much sense. What do you think? Despite a hoax from 2016, there have been no recent sightings of the Loveland Frogman. Yet the legend lives on. Actually, since 2023, there's been an annual Frogman Festival organized by a friend of mine, Jeff Craig. He's trying to keep that legend alive, and it's a whole lot of fun. I've actually vended at it for the past 2 years. I had to miss this year due to a scheduling conflict, but it's a lot of fun. So I'll link that below if you want to check that out. There's also a new indie found footage horror movie called Frogman, and the cover was designed by another friend of mine, Easton Hawk. I have yet to see this movie, but I hear it's pretty rad, so I'll probably be taking my own advice and checking that out soon. So, regardless of whether or not the Frogman is real, I find the prospect of a 4-foot-tall frog humanoid creature with a magic wand skulking around the outskirts of Cincinnati a pretty fun notion, and it doesn't hurt anybody. I say bring on the whimsy. More whimsy. Yay, Frogman.